Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Voices of British Orthodoxy. I am, of course, Rita Lazar. Today we have a lot of saints, and this is going to be a longer episode. So, I think I'm going to start off with the entry for Saints Cuthber, also known as Cuthberga, and Quenber, who are from the 8th century. And their book entry goes as follows. A sister of the King Saint Einar of Wessex, Saint Cuthber was betrothed to Oswy of Northumbria. She desired to enter monastic life, and Oswy released her from the betrothal. And Saint Cuthber received monastic tonsure at Barking Abbey until Saint Hilda lived 24th of March, who we commemorate on the 24th of March. St. Cuthber, along with her sister St. Gwenber, went on to found the great Abbey of Wimborne in Dorset, England, where St. Lioba, who's commemorated on the 28th of September, Thecla, 15th of October, who's commemorated on the 15th of October, and many other great and saintly women were trained. Many of these women went on to help St. Boniface, who is commemorated on the 5th of June, to enlighten the German people. St. Cuthber reposed circa AD 724 and was succeeded by her sister St. Quenber as Abbess. So those two sisters are from the 8th century. The group chat entry is Saints Cuthber and Gwenber, sisters, abbesses of Wimborne, C.725 in brackets. Sisters of King Einar of Wessex. They became nuns at Barking with Saint Hildeliv. Together with her sister, Saint Gwen, St. Cuthber founded a monastery in Wimborne in Dorset, where she was abbess and succeeded by her sister. Sorry for that. I think I will read St. Eanswythe next. So, St. Eanswythe is depicted here with the... this icon is by Uncut Mountain, by the way, for anybody that wants to ever get their own version of this. I've probably butchered the name, but Eanswythe, also known as Eanswythe. And her entry in the group chat is she's from the 7th century. St. Eanswythe was the only daughter of King Eadbald of Kent and his Frankish wife Emma. At the time of St. Eanswythe's birth, her father was a pagan, her mother a Christian, and St. Eanswythe was baptized and raised a Christian. This is consistent with her desire from early childhood to enter monastic life. As she grew, St. Eanswythe continued to insist on becoming a nun, even asking her father to build a cell for her where she could pray. Nevertheless, King Eadbald wanted her to marry. Eventually, the king realised the futility of his wish and built a monastery for St. Eanswythe in Folkestone in Kent. This was the first woman's monastery to be founded in England, and there, from the age of 16, St. Eanswythe lived with her companions. Due to her age, she was not made abbess immediately, though there is no other recorded abbess. It is assumed that the community was guided either by members of St. Augustine's 27th, who we commemorate back on the 27th of May mission, or by a few experienced nuns who had been especially sent from the continent. Until St. Eanswythe and the community were ready for her leadership. Many miracles are attributed to St. Eanswythe during her lifetime, including the restoration of a sight to a blind man and the exorcism of a possessed man. We know little else of St. Eanswythe's life. According to tradition, she reposed in AD 640, when she was in her mid-20s. Unfortunately, her monastery was sacked by the Danes in AD 867, though St. Eanswythe's relics were saved, and for some time were kept in the local church of Saints Peter and Paul. The monastery also had to contend with the encroaching sea, which required several relocations further inland. In AD 1138, a new monastery and church dedicated to Saints Mary and Eanswythe were built farther inland, and St. Eanswythe relics were translated from the church of Saints Peter and Paul to the new monastery. During the dissolution of the monasteries, which happened between AD 1536 to 1541, the monastery was plundered and the shrine of St. Eanswythe destroyed, but her relics had been hidden beforehand. In June AD 1885, workmen in the church discovered a niche niche in the wall, which had been plastered over. Upon removing the plaster, they found the reliquary made of lead, which, judging by its ornamentation, dated from the 12th century. A number of bones were found inside, determined by experts to be those of a young woman. Today, the niche is lined with alabaster and is covered by a brass door and a grill. Grill, but with it like a E on the end. Following the uncovering of St. Eanswythe's relics, they were brought out each year for veneration on the parish feast day. Unfortunately, this practice came to an abrupt end after several parishioners accused the vicar of worshipping the relics. Although St. Eanswythe's relics are no longer offered for public veneration, candles and flowers are occasionally placed before the brass door where they are entombed. She does have a Troparion, which is in tone 6. I will read that for you, and I will either, 1, try and find it online for you all, or 2, I'll have to write it out for you, but it will be in the description. With gladsome voices and hymns of praise, let us extol the Venerable Eanswythe, who, setting aside rich princely apparel, gladly put on the mean and lowly habit of a nun, and in place of the idle pursuits of the royal court, set herself boldly to acquire all the virtues. Wherefore, having pleased Christ by her chastity and love, she ever intercede with him to have mercy on our souls. And her group chat entry is St. Eanswythe, Eanswythe, Abbess of Folkestone, c. 640, granddaughter of King Ethelbert of Kent. She founded the first convent in England on the coast near Folkestone. This was later destroyed by the Danes and swallowed up by the sea. Relics of St. Eanswythe are venerated in her church in Folkestone to this day. And, so, Saint Aidan is the final entry for today. Bishop of Lindisfarne and Leighton of Northumbria, founded of the monastery of Lindisfarne, 651. And then there's a link to the OCA website, but I'm pretty sure that's what was used for this, so I'm going to just read from the book. And this was the best icon that I could actually, zoom in, shall we say, do the, scroll zoom in thing to make it look bigger, to take up more of the screen, without it looking like super blurred. Same thing, pretty much, well, actually, I can't even say same thing for St. Eanswythe. But anyway, so, our father among the saints, Aidan of Lindisfarne and Leighton of Northumbria, was the founder and the first bishop of the monastery on the Isle of Lindisfarne off the north coast of England. He is credited with restoring Christianity to Northumbria, northern England. His Troparion is sung in tone 5 and is, O holy Bishop Aidan, apostle of the north and light of the Celtic Church, glorious in humility, noble in poverty, zealous monk and loving missionary. Intercede for us sinners that Christ our God may have mercy on our souls. Kontakion of St. Aidan of Lindisfarne, which is sung in tone 2. Thou didst teach and preserve Christ's doctrine, and didst spread the faith through Northumbria, O holy hierarch Aidan. Unceasingly pray to God for us that thou dost worship before his throne forever. St. Aidan was a native of Ireland, possibly born in Connaught, who became a monk at St. Columba's monastery on Iona. St. Columba was commemorated back on the 9th of June, by the way. Known for strict asceticism, St. Aidan staunchly defended Celtic practices against the imposition of Roman ones. During King St. Oswald's exile, we commemorated him back on the 5th of August. He became friendly with the monks at Iona, and when he sought missionaries for his kingdom, he naturally turned to Iona rather than to Canterbury. The first bishop sent to lead the mission was too stern, and this alienated many people. St. Aidan was then consecrated bishop and sent to Northumbria to take charge of the mission. King St. Oswald gave him the island of Lindisfarne near the king's castle at Bamburgh for his episcopal see, where St. Aidan later founded the famous monastery of Lindisfarne. St. Aidan proved to be an inspired missionary, walking from village to village, though according to one legend, King St. Oswald gave St. Aidan a horse, so he would not have to walk, but St. Aidan gave the horse to a beggar. On these travels, he would engage people in conversation and slowly interest them in Christianity. Since St. Aidan did not initially speak the local Saxon language, King St. Oswald who spoke Gaelic from his time in exile, often travelled with St. Aidan, acting as interpreter, thus playing an active role in the conversion of his people. Through these simple conversations, St. Aidan and his monks slowly restored the Christian faith to Northumberland. St. Aidan also selected 12 local boys to train at his monastery, including the future St. Chad, who we commemorated back in March on the 2nd, thereby ensuring that the future leadership of the local church would be English. Though St. Aidan followed the Celtic rather than the Roman practices, which were then vying for supremacy in the region. And then in brackets it says, see the Synod of Whitby in Appendix I. His character and energy as a missionary earned the respect of several of the popes of Rome of his era. St. Bede the Venerable, who we commemorated back on the 25th of May, in his Historia Ecclesiastica, praises St. Aidan for his humility and piety, recommending him as a model for other bishops and priests to follow. He also wrote a life of St. Aidan, thus preserving the important part of the history of the church in the British Isles. The life told of miracles attributed to St. Aidan. It is said that St. Aidan once predicted a storm at sea, and gave the sailors who would be caught in it some holy oil to pour on the water, which calmed the storm. Also, in AD 651, when a pagan army attacked Bamber and attempted to set its walls alight, St. Aidan prayed and the winds turned, blowing smoke and flame upon the pagans, causing them to flee. St. Aidan reposed at an unknown age in AD 651. It is said that at the moment of the saint's repose, a young shepherd boy named Cuthbert had a vision of the Saint Aidan's soul being carried up to heaven by angels. This inspired the future Saint Cuthbert 20th, who we commemorated back on the 20th of March, to dedicate his life to God and to prepare to receive monastic tonsure. We do have one last thing to talk about before we do end this stream. So, with the blessing of His Grace, Bishop of London and Great Britain and Ireland, Master Nectarius, we have the honour of hosting the wonder-working Cursed Root Lodge icon of the Most Holy Theotokos. Sunday, the 30th of November, 2025, we will have the solemn reception of the icon at 6 p.m. Monday, the 1st of December, Divine Liturgy 2025, Divine Liturgy 8:30 a.m. And the church is the Serbian Orthodox Church of the Holy Prince Lazar in Birmingham, UK. Anyway, if you can come, great. If not, it's fine. Don't forget to may those saints intercede for us before the righteous judge. I've already took 30 minutes of your time. I will not take much more. God bless you all. Don't forget to go to liturgy tomorrow, though. God bless you all, and Amen.